It is Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. So overnight, apparently Ukraine made an attempt to assassinate Putin. And what you're looking at here is video footage showing a Ukrainian drone flying into the Kremlin and exploding. Check that out. This is absolutely crazy, guys. Look at this. So you can see this drone flying in the top left corner of this video, right up here. Okay, now initially I thought this might have been some kind of Russian false flag that they basically detonated some explosives to try to blame Ukraine for something and give them a reason to escalate the weaponry and hit Ukraine harder. But after seeing this video, I think this is legit. I think this was a Ukrainian drone. Russia's claiming that they somehow stopped this drone with some electronic warfare jamming equipment. You can actually see what appear to be two people standing over here on the top of this dome. And I don't know if those were some of Putin's Secret Service and they were trying to shoot it down, or if they were using special anti-drone weapons, but definitely looks like two people were standing here on the top of this dome and either trying to fire at this drone with small arms or using those special drone guns that they have that can disable drones in midair and shut them off. But this is just absolutely crazy, guys. Look at this footage. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Okay, Ukraine being able to actually...
Here we go. The next chapter of World War III has officially begun. I warned people a week ago that there was an assassination attempt on Vladimir Putin using a drone that was strapped with 17 kilos of C4 intended for a region where he was supposed to visit that day. Now, that story was only talked about by one German news agency called Bild, that is a reputable news agency as far as mainstream news goes. However, it was chalked up to be a tabloid agency by the likes of Zero Hedge and many other Putin apologists, if you will, Putin sympathizers. And at the time, I thought to myself, no, this looks legit. This seems quite legit. This was a clear-cut assassination attempt. Did it have any hope in hell of succeeding? No. Very unlikely that something like that is ever going to succeed. It may. At some point, they might catch him walking out to his car at some point. That's all it's going to take. But it occurred to me then that this war had reached a new level of escalation. Understand that the assassination of leaders is what leads to world wars, and Russia has explicitly stated that if our leader is assassinated, we will nuke the country responsible. They will use a nuke on the country responsible. Now, today rolls around, and every mainstream media is echoing what the Kremlin is saying, in that this was, in fact, a legitimate assassination attempt. Now, the last one, the Ukrainian Secret Service claimed responsibility according to the German tabloid news agency Bild. Today, they're not doing that. Today, they're saying this was the work of partisans, defectors, anti-Russian Russians, so to speak. People who want to see Putin out of power. I really don't know what they're thinking with that, because if Putin goes out of power, somebody far more hawkish is going to enter his role, and they're going to be far less long-form strategic. The Russians have been anticipating this, and this is the scary part for most people who, like me, and I'm guilty of this, we're very myopic in our estimations of how the situation is going to unfold. We can think weeks out, maybe months out. It's kind of like a near-term bias for catastrophe, that you think that catastrophe is going to happen within your timeline. when in fact a lot of the military strategists of the world know that things happen on scales of years as opposed to weeks and months. So if you want to know what's coming in the next few months, next few years, look at where militaries are starting to position themselves today, because that's likely where things are going to pop off in the future. And we should have known, with Moscow setting up this multi-layered air defense system over the past 6 months, first the guns and the S-300, 400, 500, and now you're seeing more and more drone attacks who have as their target Vladimir Putin himself. They knew that this was going to reach this level. So ask yourself this question. How far do they think that this is going to escalate? Do they actually think that this is going to escalate into a full-on war with NATO, a full-on conventional war to start? It appears as though they've been holding back a lot of their forces in anticipation of this war reaching a new level of intensity. Now, as I said, this was not the first assassination attempt, and it certainly won't be the last. Moscow has banned the use of drones in and around the region. A lot of people say, well, how could they not see these drones? Well, they're small. They might have small radar signatures. They might not always be able to get to them in time, but now that they're going to be on the lookout, you're likely going to see less and less successful drones getting less and less close to their final destination. And of course, they have planes flying around Moscow, so you can't just be shooting stuff up into the air. And that kind of miscalculation could be a global tragedy if you take down a civilian plane or something like that. So, but understand that the train derailments that have been happening, the explosions on Russian critical infrastructure just in the past few days, there's been 2 successful sabotage acts on Russian railways carrying various dangerous goods. There has been several attacks just in the last 12 hours here on
Somebody washes